The silent Guardian's Nova station hung in the darkness like a jewel at the edge of human space, its gleaming solar arrays catching the light of an unfamiliar sun. The research outpost housed 300 scientists, engineers, and support staff, all dedicated to studying the unusual stellar phenomena in this remote sector. Dr. Elena Kovac stood at the observation deck, watching streams of exotic particles dance across her holographic display as they emanated from the nearby pulsar. Another anomalous reading, she muttered, adjusting her sensors. This pulsar shouldn't be generating these particle patterns according to standard models. Behind her, Commander Jacobs approached with a cup of coffee. That's why we're out here, isn't it? To question standard models. Elena smiled, but didn't look up from her work. 6 years of isolation at the frontier of human expansion had been worth it for discoveries like these. Nova Station wasn't a military installation. It was humanity's scientific hand reaching into the unknown, seeking knowledge rather than conquest. Neither of them noticed the first flickers on the long-range sensors. It was the station's AI that broke their concentration. Unknown vessels approaching, Commander. Configuration does not match any registered human or allied designs. Jacob set down his coffee, suddenly alert. How many? 27 ships detected. Estimated arrival in 43 minutes. That's impossible. Jacobs moved to the command console. There's nothing out this far. Send a tight beam transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. The message would take hours to reach Earth, even with quantum entanglement enhancers. Help, if it came at all, would arrive too late. High Admiral Vrex of the Vexari Alliance surveyed the small human station on his view screen with contempt. His mandibles clicked in anticipation. Pitiful defenses, he observed to his second-in-command. These humans venture so far into the void with nothing but thin metal shells to protect them. The intelligence was correct then, his subordinate replied. An isolated research station, minimal defensive capabilities, perfect for our first strike against human expansion. Vrex's compound eyes reflected the light of his tactical display. The Vexari had watched humanity's rapid expansion across the stars with growing alarm. These fragile, short-lived creatures had accomplished in decades what had taken other species centuries. It was time to demonstrate the consequences of such unchecked ambition. Commence attack pattern Delta. No survivors. This will send a clear message to Earth about trespassing in regions the Vexari Council has claimed. His fleet accelerated toward Nova Station like predators scenting blood. Commander Jacobs had ordered all non-essential personnel to the emergency shelters. Nova Station had only a handful of point defense turrets and a magnetic shield designed to deflect micrometeors, not concentrated weapons fire. Can we outrun them? Elena asked, helping to secure sensitive research data. Jacobs shook his head. Station engines couldn't outpace a cargo hauler, let alone warships. We'll have to hope that our distress call reaches someone who cares. The first impacts rocked the station. Alarms blared as hull breaches were detected in the outer research modules. They're not even hailing us, Jacobs said in disbelief. This isn't a negotiation, it's an execution. In the command center, the remaining crew worked frantically to reroute power to shields and life support. Through the observation windows, they could see the Vexari ships, angular insectoid vessels bristling with weapons, surrounding the station like wolves circling wounded prey. They're jamming our communications, the communications officer reported. But I think our distress signal got through before they locked us down. Jacobs nodded grimly. Then we hold out as long as we can. The message from Nova Station arrived, at Earth Command headquarters buried beneath a mountain in Colorado. It was brief, interrupted, and terrifying. Nova Station under attack, unknown hostile force. 27+ warships. Requesting immediate. Admiral Helena Chen reviewed the transmission in silence, her face betraying nothing. Only 2 other people were present in the secure communications room. General Marcus Way of Space Force Operations and Director Elias Reyes of Naval Intelligence. Nova Station is 6 days away at maximum burn for our fastest response vessels, General Way said, breaking the silence. Even if we scrambled everything we have, they'll be gone before we arrive. Director Reyes studied Admiral Chen's expression carefully. Unless? Chen's eyes met his. Authorization Warden Protocol. Activation Code, November Echo Whiskey Dawn. General. We looked shocked. Admiral, that project isn't ready for deployment. We haven't even... It's been ready for 15 years, General. Chen interrupted quietly. We just hoped we'd never need it. She turned to an encrypted terminal and placed her palm against the scanner. A retinal scan followed, then a voice recognition prompt. Deep beneath the mountain, ancient machinery hummed to life. May God forgive us, she whispered. On Nova Station, the situation had become desperate. Hull breaches had forced the evacuation of 3 levels. Life support was failing in 2 more. Vexari boarding parties had been repelled at access points Beta and Gamma, but the station's defenders were running out of ammunition and hope. Commander Jacobs dragged an injured security officer behind a barricade of overturned furniture and equipment. They're through the main airlock, someone shouted over the comms. We can't hold them. Elena worked frantically to purge the station's databases. Almost done, she reported. They won't get our research data. A massive explosion rocked the command deck. Through the smoke, Jacobs could see the angular, chitinous forms of Vexari soldiers advancing with plasma weapons. He raised his sidearm, knowing it was futile. Then his comm unit crackled with an unexpected message. Not from within the station, but from outside. Nova Station, this is USS Nemesis. Stand by for immediate support. Repeat. Stand by for immediate support. Jacobs exchanged bewildered glances. With Elena, there were no human ships within days of their position. Through the observation windows, a strange distortion appeared in space, like heat rising from pavement. Then reality seemed to tear open, revealing not the emptiness of space but a massive object emerging from somewhere else. The ship that appeared dwarfed anything in the Vexari fleet. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with no visible external markings or illumination. It moved with impossible speed for its size, positioning itself between Nova Station and the attacking fleet. More spatial distortions appeared, and 5 more vessels of similar design materialized alongside the first. They formed a protective formation around the station, weapons ports opening silently. What? What are they? Elena whispered. Jacobs stared in awe. Ours, he said simply. Somehow they're ours. High Admiral Vrex watched in disbelief as 6 unknown vessels appeared from nowhere on his tactical display. His sensor officers chittered in confusion. Report, he demanded. Unknown method of arrival, High Admiral. No warp signatures, no jump points detected. They simply appeared. Impossible. Nothing that size can use stealth technology. Vrex studied the scans with mounting concern. What are these readings? Their hulls are absorbing our sensor probes. High Admiral, we're being hailed. A human face appeared on the main view screen. A woman with steel-gray hair and the unmistakable bearing of command. Vexari vessels, this is Admiral Helena Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are attacking a civilian research installation in violation of multiple provisions of galactic law. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Vrex's mandibles clicked in agitation. This is High Admiral Vrex of the Vexari Alliance. Your station trespasses in territory claimed by the Vexari Council. We recognize no jurisdiction here except our own. Leave now or join in their destruction. The human admiral's expression didn't change. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal. Vrex cut the transmission. Target the lead human vessel. All weapons. Show them the consequence of their arrogance. His gunners obeyed, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons and torpedoes at the largest human ship. The weapons struck their target directly and did nothing. The midnight black hull absorbed the impacts without visible damage. No shields flared. No evasive maneuvers were attempted. The vessel simply endured the attack as though it were nothing more than a light breeze. Impossible, Vrex whispered. Then the human vessels responded. There was no energy buildup, no warning. Beams of light so intensely focused they appeared solid, lanced out from the human ships, each one striking a Vexari vessel with surgical precision. The targeted ships didn't explode or break apart. They simply ceased to exist, reduced to their component atoms in milliseconds. 8 Vexari warships were gone in less than a second. "Evasive maneuvers!" Vrex screamed. "Launch all fighters! Target their weapon emplacements!" But before his crew could comply, another volley from the human ships eliminated 6 more vessels. "High Admiral, our weapons have no effect." His tactical officer reported frantically. "Their hulls appear to be composed of some form of programmable matter that adapts to our attacks." Vrex stared at the tactical display in horror as his proud fleet was systematically dismantled. These weren't the humans he knew, the fragile creatures who built thin-skinned ships with obvious weaponry and brightly lit command centers. These vessels were predators, designed for one purpose only. When half his fleet was gone, Vrex made the only decision he could. All vessels, emergency jump, retreat coordinates, Alpha 6. His remaining ships turned and fled, engines straining to reach jump velocity. Most made it. 3 more were destroyed as they ran. From the bridge of his fleeing command ship, Vrex watched the black human vessels resume their protective formation around the small research station. His intelligence had been catastrophically wrong. Humanity had teeth, and they had just shown the galaxy how sharp they were. On Nova Station, the surviving crew watched in stunned silence as the Vexari fleet was decimated, then fled. The remaining unknown human ships maintained their vigilant positions around the station. Commander Jacobs received a transmission request from the lead vessel. When he accepted, Admiral Chen's face appeared on his screen. "Commander Jacobs, I trust we arrived in time?" Jacobs stared at her, still processing what he had witnessed. "Admiral, how? Where did these ships come from?" Chen's expression remained neutral. "That's classified, Commander. Suffice it to say that humanity has always maintained insurance policies. Nova Station will be evacuated, and all personnel debriefed upon return to Earth. Medical teams are en route to your location now. These ships, they're not like anything I've ever seen in the fleet. That's because they're not part of the fleet, Commander. Not the one you know." As the call ended, Elena approached Jacobs, her face pale. "Those ships saved us, but they terrify me," she admitted. "How long have we had this capability? And what else don't we know about our own military?" Jacobs had no answer. Through the observation window, he watched the silent black ships, their hulls absorbing all light that touched them, humanity's hidden guardians waiting in the darkness until needed. He wondered what other secrets Earth kept, hidden behind classification protocols and buried beneath mountains. And he wondered if the galaxy was ready to learn them. Reckoning. The Vexari High Council chamber fell into stunned silence as High Admiral Vrex completed his report. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the destruction of their fleet, ships atomized by weapons technology that defied their understanding. Supreme Counselor Zex, her carapace bearing the golden markings of her elevated status, leaned forward on her perch. "You claim these human vessels appeared from nowhere, without jump signatures or warp distortions?" "Yes, Supreme Counselor," Vrex confirmed, his normally proud posture humbled by defeat. "They materialized as if stepping through a door no one else could see, and their weapons, describe them again." Vrex's mandibles clicked nervously. "Coherent energy beams, but unlike anything in our arsenal. No buildup, no observable power source. Their hulls absorbed our attacks without deploying shields." The military advisors chittered among themselves in agitation. One, General Krivix, rose to speak. "We have miscalculated," he said gravely. "Our intelligence suggested humans possessed only conventional propulsion systems and defensive technologies. These ships suggest a level of advancement far beyond our estimates." Supreme Counselor Zex's compound eyes reflected the repeating hologram of a Vexari cruiser, disintegrating under a human attack. The attack on Nova Station was meant to be a warning, a demonstration that human expansion into our claimed territories would not be tolerated, she said slowly. "Instead, we have provoked something we do not understand." The chamber doors parted, and a slender Vexari entered. Science Director Vela, her movements quick and precise. Supreme Counselor, I've analyzed the sensor data from Admiral Vrex's flagship. These vessels appear to utilize principles of quantum entanglement and dimensional manipulation we've only theorized about. If humans have weaponized such technology... She didn't finish the thought. She didn't need to. Aboard the USS Nemesis, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge watching as medical shuttles evacuated the wounded from Nova Station. The station itself was severely damaged. It would never function again. Status report, she requested. Captain Rivera, the Nemesis's commanding officer, approached with a datapad. Nova Station personnel evacuation is at 87%. All sensitive equipment and research data have been secured. The Vexari survivors have jumped beyond our sensor range. Chen nodded, satisfaction evident in her otherwise stony expression. And our ships? All 6 vessels report nominal status. Energy reserves at 96%. No damage sustained. Of course not, Chen thought. These ships weren't built to be damaged. The Warden Protocol had been humanity's best-kept secret for over 15 years. After the first contact war with the Krilln hegemony, a brutal conflict that humanity barely survived, Earth's nations unified under a single directive. Never again would humanity be caught unprepared. While the public space fleet expanded with conventional warships and exploration vessels, a shadow program developed technology centuries ahead of what was publicly acknowledged. Black budget funding from every nation on Earth had created 6 vessels, unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Ships designed not for exploration or diplomacy, but for absolute military superiority. Chen's secure comm unit chimed. Admiral, the Security Council is assembled and awaiting your report. She nodded to Captain Rivera. You have command, Captain. Continue the evacuation. In her private quarters, Chen activated the quantum encrypted communication array. 12 faces appeared on her screen. The leaders and representatives of Earth's Unified Security Council. The Warden Protocol has been successfully implemented, she reported without preamble. Nova Station personnel have been rescued, and the attacking Vexari fleet has been neutralized. 14 enemy vessels destroyed, 13 retreated. Casualties? Asked the representative from the African coalition. 27 Nova Station personnel dead, 41 injured. No casualties among Warden Protocol forces. The Secretary General of the United Nations leaned forward, his expression grave. The deployment of the Warden fleet represents an escalation we cannot walk back, Admiral. The existence of these ships will now become known throughout the galaxy. With respect, Mr. Secretary General, Chen replied. That was always inevitable. The Vexari attacked an unarmed research station without provocation. They expected no consequences because they believed us weak. That misconception has been corrected. And what comes next? Asked the Chinese premier. The Vexari are not a minor power. They have hundreds of ships and nearly 30 colony worlds. They had 14 fewer ships than they started with today, Chen noted coldly. And they'll soon learn that was only a fraction of our capabilities. Across the galaxy, reports spread like wildfire. The Vexari, a dominant military power in the Orion, Spur, had attacked a human outpost and been decimated by unknown human vessels with impossible technology. On Celestia, the diplomatic hub world where representatives from 24 spacefaring species maintained embassies, the news caused a diplomatic earthquake. Ambassador Alara Reed of Earth found herself suddenly the center of attention as she entered the Grand Assembly chamber. Conversations hushed as she passed. Eyes, sensory stalks, and other alien perceptive organs followed her movement. The Gala ambassador, a tall, willowy being with luminescent skin, approached her directly. Is it true? He asked without preamble. Has Earth deployed new weapon technologies against the Vexari? Alara maintained her diplomatic composure. Earth responded to an unprovoked attack on a civilian research facility. The nature of that response is classified. Classified? The Proxima ambassador joined the conversation, her multiple arms gesturing in agitation. 14 Vexari warships were destroyed in seconds, The entire diplomatic community is in uproar. Ilara faced them calmly. Perhaps the diplomatic community should consider why the Vexari felt entitled to attack an unarmed scientific outpost in neutral space. Before they could respond, the chamber doors opened again, and the Vexari ambassador entered. Unlike his normally imposing presence, he moved with careful restraint, his posture suggesting uncertainty. The assembly fell silent as he approached the Earth delegation. Ambassador Reed, he began formally. The Vexari Alliance wishes to express regret regarding the recent incident at Nova Station. There appears to have been a misunderstanding about territorial claims. A diplomatic way of saying they hadn't expected humanity to fight back, and certainly not with such overwhelming force. I have been authorized to open negotiations for reparations and boundary delineation, he continued. Ilara nodded politely. The Earth Alliance welcomes peaceful dialogue, Ambassador. However, I must inform you that all future attacks on human installations or vessels will receive the same response as Nova Station. Is that understood? The Vexari ambassador's compound eyes reflected the light as he lowered his head slightly. Perfectly, Ambassador. As the formal assembly began, Ilara noted with satisfaction how the seating had subtly reorganized. Species that had previously aligned themselves with the dominant Vexari were now maintaining careful distance. Others had moved closer to the human delegation. The galaxy's political landscape had shifted in a single day. Commander Jacobs sat in a sterile debriefing room deep within Earth Command headquarters. He had spent the past 6 hours recounting everything he had witnessed at Nova Station. Admiral Chen entered, dismissing the debriefers with a gesture. When they were alone, she sat across from him. Commander, I want to thank you personally for your actions during the Vexari attack. Your leadership saved many lives. Jacobs nodded wearily. What happens now, Admiral? To me and my crew? You'll be reassigned? Given your experience, I'm offering you a choice. You can return to conventional fleet duty with a promotion to captain, or... She paused, studying him carefully. Or you can join Warden Command. Jacob straightened. Those ships, they're part of a separate command structure? Chen nodded. The Warden Protocol operates independently of the regular space fleet. Black budget, classified missions, advanced technology. We've maintained this separation for 15 years, developing capabilities we hoped never to use. Why reveal them now? Because the galaxy needed to know. Chen's expression hardened. Humanity has been underestimated, Commander. Species like the Vexari see our diplomatic efforts and scientific pursuits as weakness. They mistake our preference for peace as an inability to wage war. She stood, walking to a view screen on the wall. It activated to show one of the black ships, the Nemesis, docked at a hidden orbital facility. These vessels represent a fundamental truth about humanity that the galaxy needs to understand. We explore, we create, we extend friendship whenever possible. Her voice lowered. But we also remember the Krilln War. We remember our colonies that burned. And we will never allow that to happen again. Jacobs considered her words carefully. The existence of these ships, this secret fleet, it changes everything. The diplomatic repercussions alone are exactly what we intended, Chen interrupted. Every species in the galaxy is now re-evaluating their assessment of Earth's military capabilities. Aggressive powers like the Vexari are reconsidering planned expansions into regions we've claimed, and potential allies see us as a more valuable friend than they did yesterday. She turned back to face him. So, Commander, what will it be? Conventional fleet or Warden Command? 6 months later, High Admiral Vrex stood on the observation deck of the Vexari border station, watching the darkness of space beyond the planetary system's edge. His once prominent position had been reduced to this, guarding a remote outpost far from the centers of Vexari power. A subordinate approached cautiously. High Admiral, sensors detect an unusual distortion at the system boundary. Vrex felt his carapace tighten with instinctive fear. Configuration? Unknown, sir. It doesn't match known signatures. Before Vrex could respond, a communication request flashed on the nearest console. He accepted it with hesitation. The face that appeared wasn't Admiral Chen, but a human male with the insignia of a commander, Jacobs from the Nova Station incident. "Hi, Admiral Vrex," Jacobs greeted him formally. "I'm Commander Jacobs of the Terran Warden Fleet. I'm here to inform you that we're establishing a research outpost in the neighboring Vega system. This is a courtesy notification, not a request, for permission." Vrex's mandibles clicked in agitation. "The Vega system falls within Vexari protected space according to our territorial claims." Jacobs's expression remained neutral. "The Vega system is now under Earth protection. Your government has been formally notified. Any interference with our installation will be considered an act of war." The transmission ended abruptly. Through the observation window, Vrex could see a distortion forming, like the one he had witnessed at Nova Station. A massive black ship emerged from the spatial anomaly, followed by two smaller vessels of similar design. Without acknowledging the Vexari station, they proceeded toward the Vega system. Vrex's subordinate waited for orders, mandibles trembling slightly. "Log the contact," Vrex said quietly. "Inform High Command. Do not engage." As the human ships disappeared, into the distance, Vrex contemplated how quickly the balance of power had shifted. For generations, the Vexari had expanded unchallenged, claiming system after system through intimidation and occasional force. Now, a species they had dismissed as diplomatically naive and technologically inferior had revealed teeth sharp enough to tear through their strongest ships. The galaxy had changed, and humanity, quiet, diplomatic humanity with its scientific outposts and cultural exchange programs, had revealed itself as something the Vexari had never truly encountered before. A species that preferred peace but had mastered war. Dr. Elena Kovac stood on the observation deck of Vega Station, the new research facility built to replace Nova Station. Though similar in function, this installation had significant differences, namely the defense grid and the permanent presence of a warden vessel in high orbit. Commander Jacobs, now Captain Jacobs of the Warden Fleet, joined her at the viewport. "The fuel particle accelerator is fully operational," she told him. "We can resume the research we started at Nova." Jacobs nodded, his eyes on the stars beyond. "And this time, no one will interrupt your work." Elena studied his new uniform, the midnight black of Warden Command rather than the navy blue of the regular fleet. "Does it bother you," she asked, "that the galaxy now sees us differently?" "They see us accurately now," Jacobs replied. "Humanity has always been this way. Explorers and scientists first, but warriors when necessary. We didn't change. Their perception did." In the distance, the USS Vigilance hung in orbit, its black hull absorbing starlight. Similar ships now patrolled key systems throughout human space, their presence a silent reminder of the consequences of aggression. "I wonder what other secrets Earth keeps," Elena mused. Jacobs smiled slightly. "That's classified, Doctor." But they both knew the truth. The Warden vessels had been only the beginning, the first layer of a defense strategy built over 15 years of preparation. Humanity had revealed one card from its hand, enough to change the game without showing everything it held. In embassies and council chambers across the galaxy, diplomats and leaders analyzed the events at Nova Station and drew their conclusions. Some saw opportunity in alliance with this newly revealed power. Others recalculated their expansion plans to avoid human interests. All of them wondered what else humanity might be hiding. And in a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, engineers and scientists continued their work on the next generation of Warden technology, advancements that would make even the Nemesis seem primitive by comparison. Because if humanity had learned one lesson from its history among the stars, it was this: peace was preferable, diplomacy was essential, but strength, unmistakable, overwhelming strength, was the only language that some would ever truly understand. The battle at Nova Station had ended. The message it sent to the galaxy would echo for generations.